allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Mr. Bain?
Here.
Mrs. Janie Shaw? Here. Dr. Blueberry?
Here.
Mrs. Bush? Here. Mr. Jeffries?
Present.
Mrs. Lamb? Mr. Menarchik? Mr. Bankus?
Here.
And Mr. Wood?
Here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, visitors to be read. There's 4, so each one can take your turn for 3 minutes. It's always been that way. To speak what you have to say, and then we'll go on. So first one would be Melissa Rules.
Three minutes.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for this. Is this on then?
Okay, is that one?
I'm just short, I think.
There you go.
I'm Melissa Rolls. I'm the head cook. I've worked at the school district for 24 years. And I just wanted to say we're like a big family, between the teachers, the cafeteria, the secretary, and the possibility of outsourcing. We don't like the idea. So we're asking you to listen to some of the stuff that we do that you may not even know, like special needs. They come down, we have special meals for them. We try to look out for the special needs kids. We also started 6 or 7 years ago, raising money, and we do a scholarship. We started out being able to give out 1 scholarship, then we've been doing 2. This year, we actually raised enough money between the cafeteria, secretaries, everybody buying the Joey cards, might have even had that, and that we're actually able to give out 3 scholarships this year. We've also, our union, we raised enough money that we're able to actually give a $300 donation to the senior class, so they could use for their field trip, their breakfast or whatever. And I wasn't prepared for this. I think that's about it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Dawn Miller.
Hello, I'm Dawn Miller, and I want to speak, I guess, continuation with outsourcing. I think it's very important to understand that these students see our faces every day. They know us, and they respond, and especially kids with disabilities. It's very important that they have familiar faces all the time. If you would outsource, there would be a revolving door, and that would be, I think, a little bit more detrimental to the children to have that instability in the school system. And so I think it's very important when we're thinking about doing outsourcing that you're taking into consideration the kids and our staff. I mean, they're a wonderful staff. They've been here for a long time, most of them. And I think that, by outsourcing, you might see them go away to better jobs. And that would be sad to see happen to the school district. And I think it's important that you take that under consideration. I hope you would take it seriously, because we all are affected by it. I don't know, it's just something that is very hard to think about, the idea of having someone come in from outsourcing, and they're not even from our community, and how much that would affect our community and the businesses here in the area might make people not want to stay, because there's nothing to look forward to. People work here because it's a good job, it pays fairly well. Some of us have benefits. So I think that if that would go away, you would see the town kind of deplete a little bit as far as revenues coming in, there would be other places that they could go to live that would be more stable. So, thank you.
Thank you. Henry Welling.
Hi, my name's Emily Wellings, and I am here in support of the lunch staff, and I think that it's very important to keep these jobs local. And I do think that they make a difference in students' lives as far as having familiar faces. They've all been very devoted to their jobs, and they deserve to have fair wages. And I think that it's important that we don't have money going out of the community. Keep things local, whether it's this or another situation. Thank you.
Okay, Renee Beck.
I'll get my paper here. Okay, hello, everyone. My name is Renee Beck. I am better known as Miss Renee at Osceola Mills Elementary School. I'm a retired lunch lady and very, very proud of it. Our cafeterias have always been a close family unit. Everyone works hard together. They work for the students, and the students love their lunch ladies. They are familiar, comfortable faces every day that the students see, and that makes the students feel good. I first worked at the Wollaston Boggs Elementary School. At that time, they were $6 million in the red. So they decided to close the school, cut jobs, cut salaries, cut hours to try and get out of the red. But when you think about it, it's not the staff's fault. That was administration's fault. So now you want to outsource the cafeteria and eventually, I'm sure, support staff and maintenance. Again, wait a minute. The money problems, it is not the staff's fault. Our cafeterias were good, and then you outsourced the food service director and food supply, and downhill it went, and it's still going downhill. Administration, your departments are, and school board, your departments are only as good as your workers. And those workers are great workers. So administration and school board, I challenge you. What are you willing to give up to help the district's money problems? Thank you.
Thank you all for coming tonight. We do appreciate the input. Okay, tonight we're gonna have certificates of achievement, and I don't think that Ben's here. Lucas, you come up and then you'll speak.
We just want to recognize Lucas tonight. We're very proud of him as a district with everyone here tonight. He made it to our all-state concert band, and he plays the baritone saxophone. And what we'd like is for him to come forward and get a picture for his certificate. And let's, as a crowd here tonight, show our appreciation.
Yeah, I want to have him speak just a little bit and talk about what they did. You know, it's appreciative that you take the time to do this. You know, and Ben couldn't be here, so if you can talk for the teacher and you and them, and everything that you guys did, I mean, that's a cool part of being a PO.
I would like to start off by saying, on the behalf of myself and Ben Kudry and Mrs. Lisowskis, the music teacher at the high school who helps get us prepared for these festivals, I would like to say thank you to the school board for your support in the music department. And I would like to say thank you to everyone who is at the board meeting tonight, who has students in the music department or has helped in any way, shape, or form. For example, I know the lunch staff does a lot to help with the music department. And I also know that Mrs. Chorley puts forth a lot of effort to the music department. This is my sophomore year, so PMEA is 10 through 12, and I was fortunate enough to go through multiple audition processes to make it to the all-state level. It starts out kind of like your PIAA sports. You go in at a district level and you compete against kids in our area from other schools, and then you get a chair placement, or if you were comparing it to a PIAA sport, it would be comparable to wrestling and how you get seated into groups, into categories. So once I and Ben made it to the top in our section, I was first chair at districts, Ben Kudry was second chair at districts. We went on to compete at regions. At regions, I got second chair, Ben Kudry got first chair, which allowed us to make it to all states. All states, there's a final audition where you get seated at the all-state level against every music student who also has competed their way across the state to make it as far as we did. I was fortunate enough my sophomore year to make it to all states, and I got fourth chair. Ben Kudry, who is a senior, made it to all states all 3 years that he was eligible. He got second chair this year, which is a very, very big accomplishment for the both of us. We honestly would not be able to do it without the support of our music program and Mrs. Lisowskis. For example, she puts us in contact with people who will give us lessons, who will teach us and help us further our ability. She herself takes time out of her day in her teaching to help teach us and help teach what she knows so we can then apply it. I think that is everything that I would like to talk about. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, we have, yep. Excellent job.
Laying that on, brother.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it over a minute to Carl, just for a quick comment.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of the Solicitor's Office, and our office participates in the collective bargaining process on behalf of the school board. And the school board asked that we make just a few brief comments. First and foremost, appreciate everybody coming out and expressing their perspective and their opinions. And the board also appreciates getting to know the perspectives and opinions of that portion of the school community. The bargaining process has been ongoing since February, roughly, give or take. I think that individuals that have been present for those meetings from both sides would agree that the parties have both come quite a ways since initial proposals were exchanged back then. And it's true that one of those proposals that has been exchanged, as referenced here tonight by everyone who spoke, was that relative to exploring subcontracting a portion of the future jobs within that classification, within that unit. Just from a point of clarification for some individuals who may not know, may not be familiar with the process that we've been undertaking, is that the proposal relative to subcontracting has not been proposed in such a way that would affect anybody that is currently on staff. All those employees who are currently employed by the district would remain district employees. The proposal relative to subcontracting was for certain classification positions to be filled through subcontracting through attrition, which in other words means that if a position were to not be filled from within with a current associate, is that that would be the only time when the district would turn to any type of outside source. So the jobs that are here will be staying here until no one wants them anymore from within the unit. So that's just an important point of clarification that I think is worth noting as everyone leaves here tonight to consider everything that's been said from both sides. Additionally, the board has been making these, been going through the process relative to collective bargaining, not only because it has a duty to with its associates, but also because it has a fiduciary duty to those which it represents. That is the educational operation. That includes students, staff, taxpayers. The board members have a fiduciary responsibility to all of those individuals. So all of those individuals need to be taken into consideration. And the proposals that have been proposed by the district thus far have been taking the totality of the circumstances and the totality of the financial demands that have been proposed by both sides into consideration. And that's why, we kind of find ourselves where we are today. So, again, appreciate everybody coming out. Certainly if anybody wants to endeavor further conversation, at a later date, I'm sure the board would welcome everybody back in for public comment again. The board remains hopeful that at the next bargaining session, which is next week, that more progress can be made and potentially a successor agreement to the one that's currently in place can be reached. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the board president.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna have Tom Martin, our finance director. Ken.
All right, thanks for letting me talk tonight on behalf of the technology department. We're looking at the school year 24-25, and we're seeking some approval to move forward on some agreements with some vendors and purchasing of student devices. Just for the reason for that is that the student devices promotions, we can save a lot of money this month before the end of the month ends, and we get permission until July to pay for that, those devices. And equipment will be in stock as well, and preparing for the technology department for the summer projects. So the first one that we wanted to bring up was Lincoln. Lincoln is an assessment management, data and analytics and intervention support solution. What that does is it benchmarks student assessment. It also is a data warehousing for the assessments for the students, and is for detailed reporting. So we will be migrating and replacing the current system we have now, which is EditSite, which is the data warehousing for benchmark assessments. It also warehouses PSSAs, local assessments, keystones, Acadian's learning for the students, so we can see their benchmarking going forward. So we're looking to see, this project is going to take about 3 months this summer, so we can have it ready for professional development in the beginning of the school year. So we're looking for seeking approval for that. And that process is going to be about 15 grand. Okay, next on the student devices, the Chromebooks and Windows 11 desktops, looking for approval to purchase those Chromebooks and desktops. Right now, we can save the district $27,880 if we purchase those before May 31st. And these promotions it allows time for this technology department to get these ready for the next school year. They're in stock, and we can take advantage of these promotions. Next, we're going to convert all the Windows machines, the student machines, into Chrome. So we're seeking approval to use some of the existing devices that we have now to save money so we don't buy the new ones, and we will be converting those to Chrome OS.
The reason why we're doing that is because
it saves the teacher time in the classroom rather than having
the computer saying if it's updating.
updating or doing some different things. The Chromebook, usually you open up the Chromebook, they log in,
And the teacher can start teaching rather than troubleshooting and teaching management. It's also ease of Google Classroom, the learning management system. So
that's why we're going to be converting the device to Chrome OS. Oh, also, we have our carrying cases. So since we have FID days and we have grades 6 through 12 to take their computers home every day, the laptop cases get beat up. Zippers break, they get dirty, they need replaced time after time. So we're seeking for that. Also, our district phone system, our phone voice routers are out of date, end of life. We're looking to replace just one phase this summer, and that would be replacing the voice router at the middle school and Osceola Mills. Okay, and then there's the cost there for that.
and then one more,
That's it. All right, so
that's what we have proposed for the technology for 24-25. Does anybody have any questions about that?
awesome. All right.
I'll give it up to Tom.
Thank you, Chad. I'm going to go over the 24-25 proposed tentative budget. This is part of the process where we have to do submit a proposed budget 30 days prior to the adopted budget. The adopted budget has to be submitted by June 30th. Go ahead, Chad. This is an overview of our, again, these are proposed numbers for total revenues of $37.1 million, total expenditures against the general fund level of $37.5 million. As things stand today, that would be a deficit or decrease of the fund balance of $427,000. The, again, right now, the proposed millage in Center County is 59.24, Clearfield 132.96, the total was 192.2, and that will be about a 1% total increase combined. The Act 1 index, which is the maximum amount that the district could increase property taxes, is 7.7. This is just a rundown of all the different revenues that we get at the local and at the state level. The majority of our money comes from the state. We get $23.2 million from the state. The majority of basic ed funding of $14 million. And the second largest is we get retirement subsidies and special ed subsidies. The local revenues primarily come from our real estate taxes. We get $10 million, and our earned income and real estate tax transfers of about $1.7 million. Total local revenues about $13 million. And then our federal revenues compared to prior years are quite a bit less than prior years. We had other funds. Looking at the federal funds right now at about $800,000. So again, the majority of our money comes from the state. Next slide. This is an important slide. This is broken down by function area. So we have instructional, sports services, student activities, debt services, and transfers. The transfers is the transfer to the capital project fund of $225,000. Debt services are for our bond payments. Student activities is made up of our athletic department and the music department and all the fine art programs that we have. Support services, and I brought a list here of what are some of the different departments that we have in support. So, our guidance counselor offices, library, our special instruction support, legal services superintendent, principal's office, our nurses department, business office, operations and maintenance, security, transportation, technology, and human resources. Last year's budget was 12.2 million in that area. So this year, as you can see, we actually have a reduction in that area down to 11.9 million. Our instructional budget, which is made up of regular instruction at all the schools, which is our teachers and paraprofessionals, services that we have with cyber and charter, and our special education program, our driver's ed program, and then our career and technology program. The number here is $21.8 million. So it's a larger increase over last year. Last year's budget was closer to about 21 million. So larger increases in the special ed and regular instruction. This is just a breakdown of where does the money get spent in what areas. The largest area is salaries, 38.6%. Our benefits make up 27% of the total budget. The other purchase services, that is cyber charter schools, tuition for kids that have to go to outside placement services, and our transportation services, supplies. All of our utilities run through their curriculum, any supplies in the buildings, and the 800 and 900 level, these other objects and other use of funds are the bond payments. Next slide, please. This is a rundown of our initial proposed budget as far as when we went through our initial revenues and expenditures and highlighted where we were at in revenues and expenditures. At that point, we had a $797,000 deficit. We, over that time, have been working and going through the budget. There have been adjustments to the revenues to a total tune of $200,000. There have been, again, decreases in expenditures, primarily, again, at the support level, Chad's department, IT, different areas there, $147,000 reduction there. So those total changes brought the deficit down from 797 to 427,000. Next slide. Again, these initial and then current with the instructional support services, student activities, again, showing where the changes are. As you can see, again, our instructional actually went up a little bit from the last time, but again, at the support service level, that number's gone down 210,000. Next slide. This is important. Each year we set the tax rates for Clearfield and for Center County. There's a state tax equalization board that's part of PDE that goes in each year and rebalances these based on the market value. When someone gets their property tax bills based on the assessed value. So each year when we set the rates for what they are going to be the next year, they change them. In the last several years, the changes have been very minor changes to Center County. In other words, Center County's market value had gone up more than what the assessed value had, and therefore there were these increases. This last year, there was a large increase in the market value. So Center County's rate from the get-go got rebalanced from 57.56 to 58.36. So that was almost a 1.4% adjustment before we even got into the budget process. Next slide. And again, this is just reflecting those market values. You can see there for a while, it was rated as 290,000. You can go back 290 to 280,000 between Center and Clearfield. This last year, the market value went from 294, 311 in Center County, and Clearfield went from 280, 288. You see that out in the housing market now with the prices of houses. So again, another increase there. So that sheer change happened, and again, it increased the rates for Center County. Next slide. Capital project budget, which is outside of the general fund budget. This is just showing some summary right now of the transfer coming in of 225,000. We have received bids for summer projects for our PD elementary for some safety projects, and same thing here at the middle school for $187,500. Those projects will begin in the summer and will be part of the 24-25 budget. And this just shows the fund balance in there, so about 120,000 getting fund balance of funds. So next slide. This is our food service budget. And this breaks down, the amount of money that we get in revenue. As you know, most of, our kids, in our school district here, free are part of the CEP program. And so we get most of our money from state and federal sources. So this breaks down how much we receive. We receive about $2.83 for an average breakfast, $3.68 for lunch. And it shows the total amount of lunches that we're projected to serve at about 193,000 for 24-25 and about 18,500 breakfasts. So again, total revenue coming in of about 1.2 million. Here's a breakdown of all of the salaries and benefits for in the food service, and it breaks down per hour. So per hour, we're paying about $16.80 an hour, and the benefits that we pay are about $14.40 an hour. So a total of $31.28 that we're paying out to each employee there. So that is on average. So you can see our largest cost outside of getting food and supplies. Food and supplies is about $490,000 is our salaries at $430 and our benefits at $373. So our total expenditures are $1.4 million. So that's about a $200,000 deficit. Right now, the beginning deficit was $947,000, so that would grow to about 1.15. Next slide. This is just a list of future budget dates. So at this meeting, the goal is to have the proposed budget approved, and we'll make that available for public inspection. We'll put that on the website. On June 10th, we will put this in paper to approve final budget on 6/26/24 at our last voting meeting in June. We would adopt that final budget. We would set the tax levy, and then we would implement the homestead and farmstead exclusion. And as part of the budget, and again, we'll get into more detail about that, the homestead, the farmstead exclusion amount increase from the state. So we will come back with the final amount. But the good news is that there should be an increase in that, and that increase will reduce the taxpayer's bill by whatever that amount goes up. So we'll have that for you at the last meeting. Okay. So any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we had an executive session tonight for personnel matters. Moving on, I need a motion to approve the April 24th, 2024 voting meeting minutes as presented.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye? Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to approve the May 8th, 2024 committee meeting minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we're gonna do a consent agenda that we always do. All matters taken under this section are considered routine, and action will be taken with one motion. There'll be no separate discussions on this agenda, and items will not be considered separate. Okay, committee reports. A, budget, finance, and transportation. If anything needs pulled, you can pull it now.
Correct, yeah. I think, is there any that need to be pulled on the entire consent agenda?
Yes, I need G4. And also 15 under E.
So we have G4. And then we have, what was that other one?
15, he's 15.
G4 and 15 under E, personnel.
I need E16, please.
All right, so we got Mr. Woods, G4 and E15, and Mrs. Bush, what do we have?
E16.
E16, sounds like bingo here a little bit. E16.
Okay, so A, budget, finance, and transportation, B, building and grounds, C, community relations, D, curriculum instruction and assessment, E, personnel, we're gonna pull 15 and 16, correct? F, policy, G, student affairs, extracurricular, drug and alcohol prevention, and student discipline, we're gonna pull 4. H, technology, and I. So,
The addendum will be voted on separately.
so can I have a motion to approve committee reports with the E15 and 16 and G4?
Motion.
Second. Roll call vote. Veronica?
Mr. Bainey,
Yes.
Mrs. Bainey Shaw. Dr. Blumeri,
Yes.
Mrs. Bush. Yes. Mr. Jeffries.
Yes.
Mrs. Lamb.
Yes.
Mr. Menarche. Mr. Venkis.
Yes.
And Mr. Wood.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, can I have E, personnel? Mrs. Bush, could you read those two that are being pulled?
Sure. Extended school year positions. Motion to approve the following people for the extended school year positions for the summer of 2024 as listed in your agenda.
And 16? It's the same, so we'll do each one separately.
Yeah.
All right, okay, can I get a motion to approve that,
15.
E15?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay,
Mr. Bainey,
yes.
Mrs. Bainey Shaw. Dr. Blumeri,
Yes.
Mrs. Bush,
Yes.
Mr. Jeffries.
Yes.
Mrs. Lamb. Yes. Mr. Menarche. Mr. Venkis.
Yes.
And Mr. Wood.
Abstain.
Summer school positions. Motion to approve the following people for the summer school positions for the summer of 2024 as listed in your agenda.
Motion?
Motion.
Second. I'll second it. Roll call?
Mr. Bainey,
Yes.
Mrs. Bainey Shaw.
Yes.
Dr. Blumeri,
Yes.
Mrs. Bush,
I abstain.
Mr. Jeffries.
Yes.
Mrs. Lamb. Yes. Mr. Menarche. Mr. Venkis.
Yes.
And Mr. Wood.
Abstain.
Okay, G, or F, policy. G, student affairs, extracurricular, drug and alcohol prevention, and student discipline.
4, extracurricular, motion to hire the following extracurricular positions for the 2024-2025 school year, as listed.
Okay, motion.
Motion.
Second.
Veronica?
Mr. Bainey,
Yes.
Mrs. Bainey Shaw.
Yes.
Dr. Blumeri,
Yes.
Mrs. Bush,
Yes.
Mr. Jeffries.
Yes.
Mrs. Lamb. Yes. Mr. Menarche. Mr. Venkis.
Yes.
And Mr. Wood.
Abstain.
Okay, motion carried. Now we're gonna go to the addendum.
I'll go over a few of these items here tonight, or down for all of them. So on the addendum, we have a transfer from a 5-hour district-wide custodian to a 5-hour district-wide custodian at Phillipsburg Elementary for Michael Selfridge. We have another transfer for Mark Lego from district-wide substitute custodian to a 5-hour district-wide custodian at the high school. We're seeking permission to post a 5-hour district-wide custodial position for the high school. Approval for a substitute custodian. We We have an item for permission of dispose of outdated Title I testing material. We have seeking permission to post for the senior high fall play assistant director position, item 6. Item 7, 8, 9 are unpaid days. Item 10, extracurricular, to hire the following extracurricular positions. 11 is a care coordination agreement between the district and St. Clair Child Services. Item 12 is a resolution. It says motion to approve resolution that the PO School District and District of Center and Clearfield Counties is applying for a public school facility improvement grant for approximately $981,000 or 25. There's also a 25% match. Total cost is a $1.3 million project. We are seeking approval to submit that grant. We have a proposed general fund budget in the amount for the 24-25 school year in the amount of $37,555,000. We have item 14, information technology. Mr. Delatry spoke to some of those items tonight through his presentation. Seeking for all those items totaling $125,912 out of next year's general fund budget. We have a bid to Clearfield Tax Claim Bureau for a motion to approve the bid accepted in the amount of $1,000 for the map number listed. We have an item number 16, motion to hire Richard Hoover as a school police officer at Phillipsburg Elementary beginning for the 24-25 school year. And then item 17, we have a motion to hire the following people as substitute custodians.
Anybody have anything on that question they want to say or?
School number 13.
13.
So we're going to go ahead and take items 1 through 17, excluding item 13, all as one vote.
Can I have a motion?
Second.
Veronica?
Mr. Boehny,
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey Shaw. Dr. Blumeri,
Yes.
Mrs. Bush,
Yes.
Mr. Jeffries,
Yes.
Mrs. Lamb, Mr. Menarchik, Mr. Vankus,
Yes.
and Mr. Wood.
Yeah.
Motion carried.
Okay. For Dr. Mary, would you like to say?
Yes, so for the proposed budget, I think we wanted to pull it just for the, when we're voting, basically just to, in the interest of keeping our budget process moving. I wanted to pull that just to make that known that because when we vote for this doesn't necessarily reflect how we'll look down the road after the budget process is finalized.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a 30-day advance, right?
Yep.
Okay, thanks for bringing that up. Okay, before we end, just like to say, I'm kind of,
So we're going to need to first and second.
and then before we finish, I'll say something. Okay, can I have a motion to approve it, number 13?
Motion to approve 13 as proposed budget.
Second.
All in favor, Veronica? Do that? Roll call?
Mr. Boehny,
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey Shaw,
Yes.
Dr. Blumeri,
Yes.
Mrs. Bush,
Yes.
Mr. Jeffries,
Yes.
Mrs. Lamb,
Yes.
Mr. Menarchik, Mr. Vankus,
Yes.
and Mr. Wood.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. If there's no other business, I'd like to say one thing. I kind of wish the group was here. I want to tell them thanks for coming. Because, you want the community's input on what the board does and what the business manager does. I wish they had stuck around a little longer, but that budget that Tom comes up with, it's not all easy, and think that the board, the administration doesn't put time into that. And you're limited on how much you can really do. Because whenever the government's giving you 70% of your money, they're gonna give you what they want done. It isn't up to us or anybody to change that. So that being said, I appreciate the input that we got. I appreciate the time that the admin and the board puts into this. And Tom, one thing I do want to say on that thing, that the ESSER fund that everybody's seen and knows that's out there, you're seeing it in the paper now, you're seeing it in Clearfield Spike, you're seeing it in State College, it doesn't matter where. That is ending, all right? That the Santa Claus part of that, where they gave the money for COVID, is over. And Tom did a very good job of managing that money. The board, Greg was here before, but trying to edge that off, because there's a big cliff that's coming with that. And anybody that spent that money banking that there was gonna be more is really gonna see a deficit. So I wanna say thanks on that whole part, and we've discussed this as we went. Like, that's not an easy deal, and Chad, I wanna say thanks for bringing up the IT stuff, where you're spending money now to save money, right? You can see that where you buy ahead of time, you can save some money. I went through that with the truck tire, whenever COVID happened, you weren't gonna get tires. So you talk to people, we spent 70 grand buying tires, so you could have them, and you save 20 grand by doing that. So what he's proposing with the IT stuff benefits the kids, benefits the teachers, and it benefits the tax. I want to tell you thanks. So if we have no other thing to discuss, thanks a lot for coming, and I will, I gave you this mic.
I would just like to ask of the administration that, at the conclusion of this meeting, if we could be provided with the contact information for the news outlets, because they did not remain here for the totality of the meeting. If there's anything inaccurately reported relative to the budget, I think that we should be able to get them the necessary information that they did not stay here to see. Thank you.
Thanks for picking up on that, Carl. That's why I'm saying, I wish the rest would stay, see not the fun part of everything that goes into running a business. Okay, nothing else said, I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
Are you recording me?
Oh, the post office is as well too, sir. Yep.
My employees, they don't feel comfortable because you guys stand in the front and doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone here for their service because I like them all.
Hello there. Welcome to this installment of First Amendment Rights. Today, Sidewalks 22 and myself be doing a First Amendment audit at this United States Post Office. See if our right to record, gather photo and video on publicly accessible areas of the property will be respected today. Hopefully it is. So stay tuned. We'll see how things go. And they do have signage clearly marking. It is the exit entryways of the driveways. There is a designated entry driveway just further up on the other side of this minivan. And there's some beautiful artwork here. It looks like the parking lot is fairly full on this side, empty on the other, as it is early in the morning. Post office is just opening up for business today. All right, let's check out some of the signage on the building here. Violators will be arrested and prosecuted. All right, noticing some of the cameras mounted to the exterior of the building. So they are doing their share of recording, as well as we are out here today, returning the favor. All right, let's check out some of the hours here. Full service hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday, 9 to 3. Sunday holidays closed, that makes sense. All right, we're gonna head on inside. It's a fairly decent size entry, lobby, whatever you want to call it. Plenty of P.O. boxes. And noticing as we walk inside here, there are cameras mounted, one of many inside the building. Post employee back here loading up some of the supplies. What's that?
Are you recording me?
Oh, the post office is as well too, sir. Yep.
No, I'm not asking about the post, I was asking about you.
Oh, I'm doing some documenting, yeah.
That's what I was asking. That's two different questions.
Yeah. Have a good morning.
So what is your name?
Oh, what's yours?
You forgot his name.
Oh. Have a good day. So he's back here giving a false narrative.
They have, of course, they sent it to us.
And his colleagues that were trying to get a reaction, not necessarily.
And the ballots are presented. No. You can't be counted. Give that on. No, sir, I won't.
I don't think he realizes the camera is not in his face. As sidewalks, he's standing at least 10 feet away from him. I was just narrating on camera how he tells you to get the camera out of his face